She didn't just throw a blanket over an empty seat. She threw it over the wrong man's future, because that man owned the future of her airline, and in 5 minutes, he'd make one phone call that would turn 152 flights into grounded metal and freeze $2.4 billion in revenue. Before I tell you how, hit that subscribe button, because this is one story you'll be replaying just to catch every twist. Marcus J. Carter wasn't just a passenger. He was the man who could buy the very jet he was sitting on twice over and still have enough left to buy the airline's logo in diamonds. But today, he just wanted peace. A quiet first-class seat, a cappuccino before takeoff, and some time to review a contract that could seal a $900 million deal. Boarding was almost complete when he approached his assigned seat, 1A, only to find a thick beige blanket draped across it, the kind flight attendants use for sleeping passengers. A middle-aged woman with a sharp bob haircut, oversized sunglasses, and that unmistakable entitled aura of a seasoned Karen, looked up at him with a smirk. "Oh, this seat's taken," she said without looking up from her phone. Marcus smiled politely, scanning his boarding pass. "I believe this is my seat," he said, showing her the ticket. She didn't even glance. "Well, I've already settled in here. You can just take that one." She pointed to a cramped middle seat in the back of first class, her tone as casual as if she were giving directions to the bathroom. Marcus remained calm. "Ma'am, I paid for this seat," he said firmly. Karen leaned back, tossing her blanket further over 1A like she was marking territory. "And I'm keeping it," she said, "unless you want to make a scene." The flight attendant approached, sensing tension. "Sir, could you please take another seat? This passenger feels more comfortable here." The words hit like a slap. This passenger feels more comfortable here? Comfort, Marcus thought, was a luxury he'd worked for all his life, and now someone thought they could take it because they assumed he didn't belong here. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't argue. He simply reached into his pocket, pulled out his phone, and sent one message. "Ground it." 5 minutes. That's all it took for chaos to unfold in ways no one on that plane could have imagined. At an operations center 2 states away, a red alert flashed across monitors. "All aircraft hold, executive lock." Mechanics froze. Mid-maintenance, pilots stared at new do not depart commands, and in airports across the country, boarding gates halted like someone had hit pause on reality. Karen still had her sunglasses on, scrolling TikTok, unaware the airline she'd chosen to disrespect was about to lose more in an hour than she'd earn in 5 lifetimes. The flight attendant tried to smile at Marcus. "Sir, please, we can upgrade you on your next trip." Marcus's phone buzzed, confirmation from his legal team that the freeze order was active. He leaned back in the seat directly behind 1A, eyes locked on the blanket in front of him. "You might want to get comfortable," he told Karen. "This flight's not going anywhere." She snorted. "Oh, please, like you have that kind of power." At that very moment, the captain's voice came over the intercom, strained and confused. "Ladies and gentlemen, we've been instructed to hold at the gate due to, an unexpected operations issue." Karen rolled her eyes. Typical. Airline. But Marcus knew better. He had founded Carter Aviation Systems, a tech empire that handled 63% of the U.S. airline industry's scheduling, booking, and maintenance software. Without his systems, planes didn't fly. Not here. Not in Europe. Not in Asia. And now, not for her. 45 minutes later, the cabin was restless. Passengers were on their phones, social media exploding with rumors about a nationwide flight delay. Karen finally looked over her sunglasses and asked Marcus, "Do you know what's going on?" He smiled, almost pitying her. "I know exactly. What's going on?" She frowned, confused by his calm. "You act like you own the airline." He chuckled softly. "I own something better." Outside, ground crew surrounded the plane. Inside, a senior operations manager boarded with 2 security officers, looking directly at Marcus. "Mr. Carter," she said with respect, "is there a problem we can resolve?" Karen blinked in disbelief. "Wait, you know him?" The manager ignored her. "Our CEO would like to apologize personally." Marcus tilted his head toward 1A. "You'll have to start with her. She's been keeping my seat warm." The entire first-class cabin went silent. Karen flushed crimson. I didn't know," she stammered. "Didn't know what? That I belong here? That my money's as good as yours? Or that I could shut down your vacation before it even started?" Karen began to babble excuses, but Marcus held up a hand. "You've already said enough." The airline's CEO himself came to the gate, shaking Marcus's hand and offering compensation so large it made headlines the next day. Marcus refused the money. Instead, he requested something more powerful: mandatory bias training for all first-class staff and a permanent customer flag to prevent entitled passengers from reserving seats that weren't theirs. Karen's ticket was refunded in full, because she wasn't flying that day or any day soon with that airline. Security escorted her away as whispers filled the cabin. Marcus finally settled into 1A, blanket folded neatly beside him, as the captain announced clearance to depart. But the story didn't end at 30,000 feet. News outlets picked up the incident, dubbing it the blanket shutdown. Twitter trended for days with hashtags like "grounded by greatness" and "Karen canceled." Marcus received thousands of messages from strangers who'd experienced the same quiet discrimination but never had the power to fight back. He responded to as many as he could, reminding them, "It's not about money, it's about knowing your worth." And as the plane finally lifted into the clouds, Marcus looked out the window, phone in hand, knowing that the next time someone thought he didn't belong, they'd think twice. Because he'd taught them the cost, not in dollars, but in dignity, of underestimating the wrong person.